So let's talk about the Cavs. What are they doing? What is their team looking like? And for next season, what is their roster? Uh, you know, the Cleveland Cavaliers are one of the franchises which have been honestly through a just a tough ride, right? They started and this all starts back in 2003 actually when they drafted LeBron. They drafted LeBron around in 2003, and in 2004 he played, the his first season, and really from there, Cleveland as a city just became LeBron. It just was LeBron, 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 LeBron. We're gonna build around him. We love him. He's gonna carry us to the promised land, and he had promised them a championship, right? And he had set very high expectations for them. And this wasn't bad, We had seen that a guy like LeBron was a generational player. That we knew that he was going to be phenomenal, or at least be a top player in the league, or at least we expected him to be. So from 2003 to 2010, LeBron was just killing until he left Cleveland, right? And when he left, that left him no room but to just have to rebuild, and they got like four number one overall picks in Kyrie Irving, Anthony Bennett, and Andrew Wiggins, and I'm pretty sure I'm missing another one if I'm not mistaken, which they all used, right? And they were hoping that with all these picks that they could actually get a good player to build their franchise around. After having missed on many of the picks and many of them disappointing, etc., they ended up drafting Kyrie, which helped them tremendously. As 2 seasons later, LeBron came back, you know, Cleveland, this is for you. And he won them a championship. They shipped away the entire team, and that marked that really. And after he won that championship, and he carried them to the playoffs every year, he carried them to the finals for 4 years straight. It really cemented the Cleveland Cavaliers as LeBron Town, as his team, and as one of the teams which, even though they are good, they had only ever had success with one player, right, when it comes to actual playoff success. So they had been plagued with this curse of it's like, okay, we had one of the greatest players of all time. He had a historic run in our franchise, 2 MVPs, multiple finals appearances. He had like 5 with the Cavs, right? Like he carried us to the greatest championship ever, whatever. And then eventually, when he left, it was like they got stuck in purgatory, where it was like they didn't know what to do. They had Darius Garland, which they had recently drafted, but he was like too young, and he looked trash. They had Colin Sexton, which had been a young bull, but then they figured out that they couldn't build or anything around him. They had Jared Allen they got Jared Allen from the James Harden trade, which they were just one of the teams needed to make that happen. And in the end, it was a lot of stuff that just had to move around for the Cleveland Cavaliers to even have some stability, right? And last year, they looked good. Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, and it had been like, okay, they finally got their stuff straight. And then they traded for Donovan Mitchell, and that just flipped the whole script for their entire franchise. Now they're a team which honestly looks to be in championship contention every year. They're a team which has brought in a plethora of young stars and players who are going to develop all together and are all on the same timeline. Because by the time Donovan Mitchell is 30, right, which will be, he will have already peaked, and he is peaking at that point. Darius Garland will be 27, Jared Allen will be 29, Isaac Okoro will be 26, Evan Mobley will be 26, and a lot of the young guys, like Isaiah Mobley, Imani Bates now, Max Strus will all be in reasonable ages to still play high level basketball. And the reason why I say this is because this team is set. Like the Cleveland Cavaliers are one of the best rebuilding jobs we've ever seen in the league, ever. Right? You go from having nothing, from your superstar player in LeBron leaving you in 2018, to you having no direction as to where you want to go. So what you do is you just play a few seasons out, you see which players work, which players don't, right? Then you take Colin Sexton, you flip him because you see that you can't win with him. You take Darius Garland as a project, and then through the draft and through just trades, right? No funny free agency stuff. You guys get a spectacular roster. Like Darius Garland, he literally was drafted by Cleveland and was developed by Cleveland. Donovan Mitchell was a trade where he didn't even want to go there. Jared Allen was through trade, and Evan Mobley was through the draft, and they've built something special. And in my opinion, I've never seen a rebuilding job this quickly, this clean. You know, they each year they added a new piece, it seems like, and it really all came to fruition last season when, even though they didn't make the playoffs, that's just because the Eastern Conference in the modern day is stacked, right? Like the East is a tough conference to be in, and when it comes to top to bottom talent, I would say that the East is better than the West, right? Like you have the Heat, the Bucks, the Sixers, the Celtics, and then you have other teams which are just improbable, and don't know what they're gonna do, and they just float around, and really each one of those teams could be good. And in my opinion, now this free agency was the last step to their puzzle. Obviously, they're not going to win a championship until Evan Mobley takes another leap, because he looks way too comfortable just being this 15 and 10 guy who plays a lot of defense. It's like, no, you need to take like a leap, right, offensively, so that the Cleveland Cavaliers could win, right? Because Evan Mobley, even though he probably doesn't believe it, because he has the attitude of like a Bam Adebayo, where it's like, I'm just gonna play my role and maximize what I do. He doesn't really stress about getting better, and you could see it. He's not on a strive for greatness because he knows that he's a phenomenal player and that he's gonna keep improving. In my opinion, Evan Mobley needs to take a superstar leap right now, right? You maybe not like go from who you are to like being one of the best centers in the league, but at least you need to like jump 22 points per game, right? And be a threat, be able to hit a good mid-ranger, be confident on the court. He's too low key, and he focuses most of his energy on defense because he believes that he doesn't have to do anything because his two guards are so good. But anyway, apart from the superstar leap, this year was a crucial one because the Cleveland Cavaliers free agency really was based on, hey, we need wings who can play real NBA minutes. What are we going to do? And they have figured it out. First what they did was they traded with the Heat, and they got Max Strus, which is a small forward. No, they need small forwards, not shooting guards, but they need just guards, right? Guards who can actually play wings. They need wings mostly. So they traded for Max Strus, in a signing trade. And that's phenomenal. A small forward who's played in the finals, has that experience, is tough, and is, gonna be there if you need him, and he's not too expensive. Then you have a guy like Georges Niang, which is another one of the same things. He'll stretch the floor, he's reliable, he's a veteran, he's been in the playoffs multiple times, and you could count on him to always be there and always know what to do, because these are veteran dudes. Then they also did two amazing things, which was they got Isaiah Mobley and Amani Bates, right? And Isaiah Mobley is more of a power forward, but it does help him the fact that he's improved more. He's Evan Mobley's brother, and that helps them with just having more bodies, bigger bodies, and not having to play those two big men so much. And they got Imani Bates in the draft, which, if his game translates to the NBA, he will be like a miniature KD. He'll be that Brandon Ingram KD, lanky shot maker type of thing. Where it's like now they fixed all of their problems. And if next season they don't make the playoffs, then it goes on the shoulders of Evan Mobley and his development as a player. But in my opinion, the Cleveland Cavaliers have done something spectacular, and they're a really good team right now.